So files, I need to have the team members listed. Team details. Okay, so there are only few members added up here. Only 9 members. So others, please go ahead and add your details. I'll just post the link in here. Make it quick because we need to add the teams as well. So this is an important activity to do. Make it fast. We have Shashank updated. So this is 6 years. Okay. So years. This one. So for sure, if it is 0, this is 0. Please add your years. Okay, you do it. Meanwhile, we'll go with UiPath. Okay, we have UiPath open, and yesterday we had dispatcher process, right? So today we'll be using the same performer process, but we'll try to understand how and where things are adding up. Okay, I think I cannot add this one because I don't have main file. Let's see. If that's not there, then I need to create a new ReFramework. ReFramework is not there. So to start with ReFramework, on the right side you will have new template. If you want more templates, you can create, or you can take it from the like Orchestrator process, advanced framework, all these things that we have. But normally we take only ReFramework, robotic enterprise framework. Use template. So what exactly? July team ReFramework explanation. Okay. So today is Friday for you, right? Or Thursday?
Thursday.
Thursday. Okay.
No.
We still have one more day. That's fine. Okay. So this is our main file. And also I'll write the notes for you. Damodar. Post files. Team details. So I have a process, and the process is our RPA challenge itself. But in our RPA challenge, whatever steps that we need to do, we'll just add all the details. Day 11. So today is day 11. Day 11 and ReFramework. Okay. So in ReFramework, there are 4 states. Can you just speak out or you can just talk? So in main file, so we are talking about main file because this is having a structure. What is this?
Init.
Init, okay.
Init state.
GetTransaction.
GetTransaction state.
Okay. Process.
Process transaction.
EndProcess.
EndProcess.
Okay. If you observe, Init is a type of state. Okay. The same goes for GetTransaction. The same goes for process. Okay, and EndProcess is the only final state. So to understand more on this, let's see on the activities panel. So if you take on state machine, and how many do we have? 3 activities. A state machine is a container, like flowchart. For the flowchart, we'll have a container, right? Like that, and we'll have a state and final state. So if you see this particular stop symbol, this means that this is the final state. And if there is this anchor symbol, then this is a state where you can add the transactions and update the transactions. So from here, you cannot take any transition out, but from here you can see, here we can have a transition. Okay. Important point is transition also contains code. Okay. Now in this transition, we'll have a trigger activity. Drop a trigger to activate trigger activity here, and successful condition or whatever. If we are writing a condition, right? Like if condition. If system exception is nothing, then go to get transaction data. But if you have system exception, then if system exception is not nothing, then go to end process. So this is type of if else condition only that we are trying to add over here. Okay. Initialization. The initialization state from initialization state. Now every initialization, every state will have two things, entry and exit. Okay, entry is the place where you will write what things should happen when you enter the state, and exit are the things when you write what things that should happen when you exit this loop. So here, rather than thinking on what exactly and how exactly things work, just understand that in the initialization state you have the code to initialize all the items. Okay, now for our steps, you tell me what we need to do. We have steps like this: process steps. So what are our process steps? Open RPA challenge website. Okay, download file, download data file. After downloading data file, read data file. Then click on start. Okay, then add every row. While adding every row, hit on submit. After all the items, then export final information. Okay, and close RPA challenge website. So now you tell me where things should be added. In the init state, what steps should be added?
Open RPA challenge website.
Okay.
And download the data file.
Okay, only two?
I think read data file also we can add it.
No, until the queue load operation is there, right?
Let's also do one thing. Read data file, add items to queue. Yeah, we'll also do this. Okay, now till where? Till which step?
Until loading the data to queue.
So until read data file, is it what you're telling?
No, Vajranga. Loading
No,
the queue, like adding items to queue.
Okay.
Until the step 4. Yes.
Okay. So I will check.
First 4 steps.
Okay, done. Now I will tell you one more thing. In the init, there is a separate sequence called first run. This is a sequence. So in the entire process, this first run sequence will run only once in the beginning. Okay. Now opening RPA challenge website, downloading the data, reading the data, add queue items. So should this be done every time there is an exception? Should this be done only once? In the complete process.
Yeah, only once.
It's only one.
Okay. There is also something called init all applications. Now in this init all applications, we need to initialize applications that we use. Okay, now tell me, here we are already adding our open RPA challenge. Do we need to add again open RPA challenge in init all applications? Yes or no?
I think yes.
Why?
Because it's a web application, it's a website, right? So,
But we have already opened it here, right?
In case of error, we need to close that application.
We will open the init all up.
Now initialization, in the initialization, in the first run, this will run only once. Now let's assume that there is a system exception in process. Now when you are going back and executing init, you will not run the first run, right? The first run will not execute. Okay, but init all applications will execute. So if the applications got failed, it will close all the applications and it will open again. So that's what will happen in init all applications. So one thing that we need to do over here is, after adding all items or after downloading the file, what we need to do is close RPA challenge. Because till here, after completing this step, do we need to use this one again? Like, we don't have any other activity for this one, right? Yes, no?
No.
Yes. Since we don't have,
No.
we can close it. Now in the init all applications, we will open it again. Okay. So now after opening the application, do we need to download the data file again?
Not required.
no.
Okay. So we need not read the data file as well. And should we need to click on start?
Yes.
Yes. Now in the get transaction, do we need to add anything?
Yeah, get queue item.
Yeah.
No need to add
Get
anything.
transaction item.
No need to add any code, because there is built-in code to get items from queue. Okay, by default, this is designed in such a way to get one item from the queue. No need to write a code again. So if you just see get process, get transaction data, open get transaction data, open workflow. Now here try catch, return transaction item. Now here get transaction item, you see. So this actually picks up one item from the orchestrator by default. Okay, so there is no need for you to add that code again. So whatever you are trying to do, you are just using your custom implementation only. So remaining things are already available for you. Now, other than this, do we need any other activity to be done in get transaction item?
No.
No.
Not required. Okay, let's go to process state. Now in this process state, what steps should be added? Add every row, hit submit.
Adding, yes.
And also export final information.
Yes.
Until flow, I think the RP challenge website is already closed. Add every row, hit submit, and export final information. 3 stages.
So should we add export final information as well in the process?
Yes.
Wrong, because in the process state, every time it will not give me final report. This export final information will only happen after you complete all the items. See, these both steps will repeat for each and every item, but getting this report, export final report information, do we get every time, or will we get only after adding all the items?
No, only once after adding all the items.
Okay, so where that should be added? Export final information.
EndProcess.
One step. No, not in end process. Before end process, we need to add. Like after the process is completed, we need to add.
See, in the process, whatever happens, this is the repetition. So, but this will not happen in the process. So it can go into end process. Okay. These two steps can go into end
Okay.
process. Did you get what I'm telling? No? Now this end process will only happen once. Okay. Now, if there is a error in export final information, then that's fine. We'll see that later. But according to our code, that should execute all the 10 items and it should give us some result. Now let's see. Now whatever steps we have added, that is divided into multiple states. Did you understand now all the steps and all the activities?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
For interest of time, what we will do, we will exclude these 3 steps like opening RPA challenge, download file and all. But what we'll do is we'll read the information and we'll add items to queue. We'll do from here. Okay. But ideally you should do those as well. Okay. So what and how the folder structure should be done. See, here we have things in place, something like this. And there are few important variables in ReFramework. Important variables and arguments in ReFramework. Okay, first one is in the variables, a very important item, this transaction data. So what is this transaction data?
Data is data table, transaction data.
So this is a complete collection of items that we are working on. Okay, so complete transaction data is the collection of items that we are working on. And what is transaction item?
It will count how many transactions completed.
No, transaction item is either one row or queue item, one queue item, or one item in the list. So these two are interrelated. Now here it is DT, data table. Now that's the reason we are telling it as one row. But if it is list of strings, then what is transaction item?
One string item.
Exactly.
One string.
So these two are very important. So DT transaction item we will read and we will add it to queue items. So and we will take one item from the queue. So this is transaction item. We will get as a queue item. Now we will discuss on other activities later, but let's do this simple activity. So this is project structuring again. Right click, add. For every web application we use, or for every application, we'll create a separate folder. RPA challenge. Okay, and in this RPA challenge, I will add new sequence, and I will add rc underscore login. Okay, and so these are the things that I do normally. rc underscore logout. Now if you see here, everything is coming under rc. Now add sequence rc underscore fill data. Now here in this RC, now what am I doing? I am going with the legacy applications, or just a second. So use modern design. I'm not using the modern design. I'm using the legacy design. So let's wait. This will be easier for you to understand all the YouTube videos as well, because all the YouTube videos or all the notifications and all the recordings that are available right now are with the older design. So we'll be using our older design activities. We'll be first opening a browser. So login, activities. So what is the first activity that we need to do? Open browser.
Yes.
Open browser. Open a browser. Now in this open browser, we need to give in URL. So see, this is a subflow. Okay, I can directly give URL here, but I will utilize arguments. I will take it as in RC URL. Okay, RP challenge URL, and I will take it as an input argument. Save it, close, and I will use Chrome for my activities. Google Chrome, rpachallenge.com. And this is the website. I'll copy this one and I will test it. See here, I hope you all know what is arguments and in-out argument. I need not explain that for you. Is it right, or do I need to explain?
Yeah, we know.
No, Vajran.
What? Yes, no, I'm hearing. Tell I don't require, or I require to explanation. What is it?
Not required.
Yeah, not required.
Okay. For the interest of time, like the variables are the items or memory locations that can be accessed only in this workflow. Arguments are the items that can be accessed outside the workflow. Simple. Now here RPA challenge I'm adding, so I'm taking it as in RC URL. In RC URL, I'm just using properties, and then I'll just select browser type is Chrome. Just save, debug, simple application. So what is it doing? It's just opening an application. Okay. Now, so while checking for it, let's try to add something on element appear. So why do we use on element appear? To make sure that the browser logged in. So if we see this RPA challenge, repeat forever should be false, because it will continuously repeat forever. Like it will not stop after finding it one time. And once this is found, then we can just log stating that login is successful. Like in underscore RC URL plus opened successful. Okay, now we are checking only with the positive scenarios, but not if that is exception, then what should we do? That we can ignore for now. So what are we doing? We are trying to open a browser with this particular item, debug file again. So if the browser is already open, it will still open again. Close all windows. Close all windows. Okay.
Here Bart launching an application, but it seems it's not original size. Like it's minimized, right? It's not in full size. So is that required to minimize after the launch, or still it will work with reduced size?
It will still work. You're talking about maximizing. Should we maximize it or not?
Yes, right.
Not required. Not required every time. Again, terms and conditions apply. Okay, now we have 3 websites. So let's close 3 websites and keep only one. Okay, now this is done. Now immediately after login, I will just add logout. So here I will not open a new browser, but I will attach a existing browser. Indicate browser on the screen, this one, and I will click on close tab. Add close tab. So this will close my application. Okay. So this, after completing this one, let's add a log message stating that close successful. Okay, one thing that you need to observe, if there is an error here, okay, how much time will it wait if there is no website?
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
So instead of doing that, what I will do, I will just increase or update the properties. Browser type is Chrome, that is fine, and attached browser is fine, and timeout is 3 seconds. Okay, milliseconds 3. So debug file, let's see. 1, 2, 3, fail. So this is showing that it is failed. Okay, stop. So one thing that we need to do, we need to check if this is already existing or not. So can we use element exist? Element exist I will use, and I will add browser exist. So what exactly I'm trying to do is, if the browser is already exist, then only go with it. And the target goes in here, selector, add it, remove this one. Okay, now I will wait only for 3 seconds here as well. And let's add an if condition. And if the existing whole condition is browser exists is true, then go ahead and add the item. Else, we can just add a log message. Am I going fast, or are you able to get through the speed? Browser
Able to get it.
already closed. So whatever happened till now is only 5 to 10% of the speed that I have taught you. From now, things will be completely different. So please pick it up. Now debug. Now let's see what and how things will happen. If it is checking for element exist, browser is not available. It's just logging a message stating that browser already closed. No need to close it again. Okay. So this will not fail now. Now will this fail? There is an exception earlier, right? Now do we have an exception now? Or will not?
No.
So we are
not.
We are identifying where the issue is, and we are trying to rectify the issue without making exceptions. Now let's run this file. Let's open the file basically. Okay, RPA challenge is available, closed. Now RC field data. So here we need to fill all the information, and what we will do is for this particular item, attach browser, because the browser should already be open, and hit on this. Now what do we need to do? Should we need to add all the items? I will do some activity as well. Let's see how we can do this. For now, this is what we'll have, and we have set item, right? We will use the set item activity. So where is that? Set text. So in this set text, I will just add one item, that is first name. So adding edit selector. So this is first name. Open UI Explorer. Indicate element, going back to this first name, and indicate an anchor and give it out first name. So this should come in like this. We have first name, the control ID can be eliminated, and in the first name, get the input, save, and then go ahead and hit on OK. Text will be, what is the text? First name. Let's give it out for sample, that's it. Debug file. Attaching a browser, type in the first name, everything done, closed. Now, how can we make sure the looping condition or looping code that we have written, like for loop 2 times, how can you utilize here? We'll see it later. But for now, we are just adding one type into. Okay. Now, this is where the important point is. Now, where should we add login and logout?
Login in initialization state.
Yeah. So login should go inside init all applications. Open workflow. Just add login. So whatever login happens, it will happen in here. If I just run this again, RPA challenge, login successful. Okay. Now where should I add logout? In the main flow.
End state.
EndProcess. Okay. So here we have close all applications. Go to close all applications and then add logout. Let's see. We have element exists, closed. Let's see. So there are two windows that opened. So that is the reason it closed only one item, but we have also the second item that's pending. So let's see. Two items got closed. Now, important point. Where should we add this field data?
Transaction.
Process state.
See, you need not do anything in GetTransaction data. GetTransaction data. Everything, whatever code we are writing, everything should go into process workflow. Invoke steps of the workflow. Field data. Set. Okay. Now let's go back, and we have two things to do, right? First thing is we need to have the data. Yesterday we have dispatcher process. So let's copy this one, dispatcher, and I will paste it in our code. July team, we have data folder. In this data folder in the input, I will just add it. Now, tell me one thing, how many times do we need to read this input, Excel input?
One time.
One.
It should read only once and add only once, right? So should it go into init or should it go into first run.
First run.
So where is first run? We'll see that. So go back to main, initialization. The initialization, we have something called first run over here. Okay. Now in this first run, we'll just open this one. And if you see first run code, init all settings, read. So we will add dispatcher process here, sequence, and we will add read range workbook activity, and this goes as dispatcher code here. So if you observe, we are writing the dispatcher code also inside a single process. So this is also one more approach. Okay, why we are adding dispatcher in the same file? Because every time it starts, it will just read the information and add the information. Okay. Now here we are going to map data, input, challenge, sheet name is sheet 1. Let's open that and see. Do we have sheet 1 or anything else? Yeah, we have sheet 1. Let's close it back. So here we go. Yeah, sheet 1. And the range is empty, so it will read everything. And what is the data table output that we need to give? Is it DT challenge, RPA challenge?
DT underscore we can give.
That's the wrong thing. So we need to give DT transaction data.
Yeah.
Okay. The reason is this is our data where we are trying to work on. Understood? And now add bulk items, add bulk queue items. Okay, this is test item. Bulk add queue items. Let's add bulk add queue items. Bulk add queue items and data table. So what is the data table that goes in?
Transaction data.
DT transaction.
Okay, because it contains all the information. And what is the queue name?
Team July.
Team July? Okay, here is the important catch. So the config, we will have the queue name inside the config. What is this? This is mentioned as process ABC queue, but our queue is Team July. We need to update it here, and orchestrator queue name is what we need to take, and we need to update it over here. We can directly write Team July in the code itself, but we are trying to utilize what is the existing item. So here we have config value. This is complete config. In this config, this is orchestrator queue name dot toString. Okay, so is this understandable or is this something that's new? I just went into the config. See again, I'm doing it again. So there is already a process ABC queue, but we need to remove that and we need to give Team July. Okay, and then close.
And Vajrang, this config file will be created automatically when we work
everything. Like when we start with our RPA challenge, like every details, like all these files will be created automatically. Okay, you need not create anything. Only thing that we are creating is our RP challenge folder. Remaining things we are
And
utilizing.
I see some queue details in the orchestrator queue name. It took some default name, right? Is it some existing queue name it took, or is it creating like its own?
It has by
Not sure.
default process ABC queue as a queue name.
Okay.
So if you leave it like that, if there is no queue in the orchestrator, then it will throw exception. Now we changed it to Team July. So Team July is, we have a queue name called Team July. So it will continue and execute. So let's see here, Vajrang Orchestrator. By the way, I can also see it over here. I'm sorry. Where is my code? Yeah. Here in the resources, I can see it queues. In this queues, I have Team July. Yeah. This is my queue. So let's have a breakpoint over here. Okay. So how much time do you think it will take to complete the project now, from now? Let's debug and see how things are moving. So we are also talking about logs. Logs are very important for any project. Okay. Now if you see here, everything will be logged and everything will be properly identified. Primary screen resolution done. Now if you observe, what do we have here on the right side? This is Pearlcat queue items. We read the information. So DT transaction data, we have first name, last name, and all the other information. Cancel, step into. Now once this is added, we will have items in the queue. Go to queues and open this one, July, Team July, view transactions. Okay, so new, all the new items that I have, but I have close to 31 items. Let me just filter out all the new items. Status new, and I think we have already added it yesterday, so there is one extra item that's there. I can delete it. So we have 10 new items. Okay, now let's see how we can work with this. Continue. Let's see. Opening RPA challenge website. Okay. First name. Why is it adding only first name?
I think we are not looping the
Header.
No,
Excel value.
no, not exactly. The mistake that we
Header.
have did is in field data, we give static value. Okay, so we need to give data from this items, right? We need to give data from these items. And if you observe, the status is getting to success. So by default, our ReFramework will set it to success if there is no business exception or system exception. So how can we set these details? View details, first name, last name. So the ideal information is, if you want to add the first name, what we need to do?
We need to pass
Transaction item that's necessary.
So we need to pass in the value, right? So I will do one simple activity now. So in the interest of time, I will just add a argument so that I can pass in argument. And this is the underscore first name. So one thing that's not happening is, after completing all the items, it should click on button, right? Click on submit. So click, I will add this click and I will add it here, submit. Okay, so it will add first name and it will click on submit. It will add first name and it will click on submit. And let's close, save it, and then see. One important point that I will add is, there is skill all process. So here I will just add kill process activity, and I will just give process name as Chrome. So if I just give it like this, then whatever Chrome applications that I have, they will be closed by default. So there is no more Chrome in my machine. So let's go back. Let's go to main. Again, when we add the items again, will it add new items or not to Orchestrator?
Yes, it will add.
Yes.
Because we didn't check to see if there are new items, don't add. We didn't write those conditions, right? So by default, whatever we have written, read item, and if there is like go to this particular place, add the items, and then continue. This is what we have done. So every time this will do the same activity, it will just loop. Okay, RPA challenge came in. First name. Okay, input H result has been written from the call component. So there is no value that is set. Let's click on stop and let's see what is the error. Edit selector. This is first name. Okay, in first name we have in underscore first name. So this is where this is invoked, RC field data. In which state? Where are we filling the data?
Process state.
Process state, right?
Process.
So inside process, we have by default transaction item. So whatever transaction item that we are getting, we'll get it by default. So open workflow, add item. In transaction item of first name, let's see with the keyword. Edit selector, view details. So this is the first name. I always copy and paste the items.
We need to specify that specific content, right? Otherwise, can you able to write like this as well?
No, you are correct. So to get the information, we have specific data. To get values from here, we need to use dot specific content. And then the key value pair. Key and the value will come in to string. Okay. I'm not sure why this is coming in. Okay. Import arguments. Specific content. Just remove dot specific content. Okay, done. So we'll just try to execute these items. Okay. Debug from main again. Sometimes this happens with my machine, not sure why. It will open. It will again add the items to Orchestrator queue. Every time we start, it will add. Michael, done, submitted. First name, Stacy, done. First name, Lara, done, submit. I'll keep a breakpoint over here, or I'll keep a break over here. So one thing that I will ask you now, how can we send all the information, or how can we loop? See, our code is completed. Okay, so if I just continue, let's see what will happen. Since it didn't click on start, it's not picking up any item. It will click on submit every time, and it will close all the items. That will happen. Let's quickly see, stop and see how quickly it will execute. Start, run. We still have 5 more minutes. Super. This is executing at the back. Is it fast or is it slow?
And it is slow.
Actually, this is fast. The main reason is, see, we are checking on the stability of the code. Like if there is an exception, for example, if I just close it, what should happen? Is our machine stopped or is our robot stopped?
No, it's like system exception, so it again into init state.
It started again.
Yeah, so if there is any system exception, we took a screenshot. If you observe, screenshot saved at a particular location and getting transaction item, and it started again. So what exactly happened here? Here there is an exception. It went to system exception and it went to initialization state, restarted the machine, took one more item. Okay, and if you observe here, there will be one item that is with retired status. And what did it set? View details, invalid UI node, and it's also giving me where the particular exception is. So you can just go into the folder, system exceptions, exception screenshots. So this is our exception. Okay, so whatever the system state is, it will take a screenshot and it will save it. So this is the importance of ReFramework. So how much code did I write from beginning till now? Other than my custom code, did I write anything else?
No, Ajay.
But I do have inbuilt functionality like closing all the applications, getting the transaction data, init all applications, init all settings, process, setting the transaction status, take a screenshot. All my activities are in place. Okay, so that is the reason we need not worry or do anything about this framework. The framework is perfect. We just need to add our logic and we need to work. Okay, we have, I know that we have hard stop at 7 o'clock, but one thing that I will do, final step. Anyone know how can we loop in with all the items? Loop all the items.
For each.
Okay, for that, if someone want to leave, please go ahead and leave, but you can check the recording last 10 to 15 minutes. We'll do only last 10 to 15 minutes recording. You can check that, but let's have a breakpoint over here and let's try to debug our flow. Debug. So if you remember, we looped into columns and rows, right? In the previous example, first we looped in all the rows and we looped in all the columns. Is it right? Now see here, this is transaction item and I will go with immediate panel. I will add in transaction item dot specific content. So what can I get? I can get a dictionary of items. So if you observe, it is a dictionary. Basically, this is a dictionary containing the key and value pairs. So if I just send in the dictionary and if I can loop in with all the key and values, can I get the value? Dictionary
What is it, Vajrang?
now a transaction item is a queue item of it's a queue item, data type of queue item. But in the transaction item, there is a specific content. Again, that's of a dictionary. If you see here, this is a queue item, this is a dictionary, and in that queue item, we have something called queue name, reference. So all these are properties of a queue item. Row version, specific content equal to dictionary, and it is having all the dictionary items: first name, last name, company name, role and company address. So what I'm asking is, can I loop in with all the 7 objects or not?
Yeah, dictionary dot keys.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can.
So if there is a collection, we can definitely loop it. So we'll see how to loop it. So I will just stop the code. Not sure why this is. Shit. This should go away. Okay, fine. So instead of adding int first name, so I will add in argument in underscore data to fill, and this is of type, this is in. So what is the type of the argument we should give?
Dictionary. Ouch.
So whatever we are seeing, we are giving the same dictionary of key value pair. This is a string and this is an object. Okay, and we need to pass in. There is nothing to pass in, but let's observe and understand. So for each key, we need to add the items, right? For each, and in this, in data to fill dot keys. So this is a list of keys. Okay, and this is of type string. Properties, keys are strings, right? So this is a string. Okay, and this is key, one key. This can be complex for some people, but just try to understand. We used a row and then we used columns, but here we already got a row. A row is a transaction item. In that, we instead of columns we have keys. For each key, we'll just go ahead and we will add key. What do we need? In data to fill of key dot toString. Okay, we are just giving a key value, and here in this selector, instead of this one, we'll just add a item. So what we will add? Again, I haven't built this any time in last 7 years or 8 years. This is the first time that I'm doing for you. So please excuse me if there is any exception. So I will just add a variable, cancel. I will just create a item, str value, and sorry, str, it's not value, it's field name. So is the column name the field name? Is that what we have seen already? The first name, last name and all, is it the field name or not?
Yes.
Field name equal to, but only thing that we need to do is key dot trim, because there is some spaces in between at some locations. So we just trimmed it. We have everything. Only thing that's missing is we just need to add in the argument data to fill, and we have something called in transaction item dot specific content. If we just give this specific content, this is again a string and object value. This will come in as is. So let's have a breakpoint over here so that you will understand what we did this last 2 minutes. Fill data. Let's have a breakpoint here as well. Debug. So I'm hoping that there are no more items. There are 10 items that came. Okay, we have RPA challenge. This is fine. Now let's go ahead and see what's there in here. Okay. Now in the arguments or in the locals panel, we can see the values. So what are you seeing? Dictionary, right? Dictionary contains keys. Keys, what are the keys? First name, last name, column name. So all these are keys. And values, we have 7 values. So all these are values. So let's go and see. So this is the first key. So what is the key name?
First name.
Okay. So if I set the field name, so can I just go ahead and type into this field name, first name or not? Just see, step into. Okay, I think I did miss one item. So you should find it. If you didn't find it, we'll try again. Continue. So why is it adding every time in the first name?
Maybe selecting an answer.
A name is first name.
The reason is we did not update this input set text. The selector is not updated. Read selector, the first name. This should also be a dynamic value, right? This is a dynamic selector now. Let's add a use variable, and the variable is set field name. Confirm. Okay. Now, whenever this changes, this key changes, the value also will change. Let's run it again. Run. Okay. Now, did you understand what mistake we did earlier, and now how did we rectify it? Or not? Yes. No.
Yes, we got it.
Okay. Tell me one thing. Why is it very slow?
It's like because in set state it is having their own delay.
Exactly. Please go on mute. RC field data. Here in the properties, set status, delay after we have, let's keep 0. Delay before, let's keep 0. Wait for ready, let's keep none. By the time next item comes, it will be ready. And then string format, this is done, everything is done. Data to fill is also done. So click on submit. Delay after, not required. Delay before, not required. And let's also set send window messages or stimulate click. Okay, now run. Let's run the file. Let's see how fast it will do. Is it fast enough now? So it's trying to add all the information. So that's it. I have taken extra 10 minutes, but I think we covered an interesting concept that I haven't covered to any of the team till now. Okay, so our activity is completed. In the output, let's see how much time did it take to execute. So it took 57 seconds to execute 32 items. It's not 10 items. It's 32 items it completed. Okay. So that's it for today. I would like to share this code with you all. Let me just share it with you. Team July. Teams. Project 1 RPA challenge. So this is on RPA challenge explanation. Okay, now let's see the code, what we have done and what happened till now. So we started like this, a simple code. Then we went into to be process. We created this particular process, like, okay, everything is in single process. We created a separate dispatcher code. We created a separate performer code. Again in 2B, we created this process in ReFramework. Okay, so all these things we are able to complete. So we have completed multi-bot architecture in the same code. How can we add dispatcher and performer as well? And without dispatcher and performer, how to use a single line item or sequence to complete all the project. So there are multiple variations of projects that we have completed. Okay, let me stop it.